Some political scandals make headlines, others are erased from memory. But what if some of the most dangerous plots in U.S. history were never fully exposed? Today, we uncover 3 forgotten cover-ups that could have changed America forever. Our first story, the business plot. The year is 1933. The country is in the depths of the Great Depression. For 3 years, Americans have been enduring the stock market crash of 1929, mass unemployment and the Dust Bowl. Banks have collapsed, farms have failed, and many believe the country is headed for an even darker year ahead. Enter Franklin Delano Roosevelt. With promises to alleviate the suffering of the Depression, he wins the 1932 election and becomes the 32nd President of the United States. This is good news for most Americans, but not for the millionaires who would lose their tax breaks under his proposed New Deal. Enter the business plot. While Roosevelt is campaigning, a group of wealthy businessmen hatch a plan to overthrow the U.S. government. The mastermind behind it all is media mogul and notorious anti-Semite Father Charles Coughlin. He gathers together some of the wealthiest families in America, including J.P. Morgan, the DuPonts, Goodyear, and names like Rockefeller, Wrigley, and Crane. Together, they plan to kidnap FDR and replace him with a fascist dictator. But who will take on this most important role? That's where retired Marine Corps Major General Smedley Butler comes in. It all starts with a mysterious dinner invitation. Butler is lured to a private meeting in his hotel room. There he meets with a man named Nielsen and to others who ask him to lead a coup against FDR. As Butler later testifies to Congress, they said, "Major General, we want you to organize a national fascist movement and put us in a position where we can put our hands on the levers of government." After refusing their offer, the men threaten Butler, warning him that his career will be over if he doesn't accept their offer. Still refusing, Butler leaves the meeting. Soon after, he is summoned to another meeting, this time with Nelson and a representative from the DuPont family. Again, they ask him to lead a coup and again he refuses. This time, Butler says, "I don't care whether or not you know it. I am going to tell the President of the United States what you have been doing." Enraged, the DuPont representative pulls out a gun, slams it on the table, and warns Butler to keep quiet. "You can't do a thing about it," he says. "We have the money and we will see that you are discredited and that no one will listen to a word you say." Now realizing the gravity of the situation, Butler agrees to lead the coup, though he has no intention of following through with it. He later tells Congress he hoped to get enough support for the plan so that he could expose it and bring the conspirators to justice. But things quickly fall apart. As Butler tries to recruit supporters, he learns that most high-ranking officers oppose the idea of a military coup. One supporter that he does gain is Major General Edwin B. Parker, head of the Marine Corps. According to Butler, he told Parker about the plot and asked for help in exposing it. However, Parker betrayed Butler and revealed the plan to the conspirators. Realizing he'd been tricked, Butler exposes the entire plot to Congress. The businessman's plan is foiled, but their motives remain. As Butler stated, "What I really got in that resolution was that there was a powerful group of people in this country trying to make a lot of money out of fascism. They were trying to set up a dictatorship, and they were trying to make themselves the dictators." So why did this plot fail? Well, according to Butler, it was because the people involved were not true believers in fascism, only greedy businessmen looking for profit. They didn't really want to set up a fascist dictatorship, Butler testified. They just wanted to get their hands on the property of other people. Our next story, Cointelpro. You are now on the brink of the future. It's the 1960s and America is changing fast. The civil rights movement is at its peak. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. demanding equal rights for all Americans, regardless of race. In response, the FBI launches Cointelpro, a series of covert and illegal projects designed to disrupt and dismantle activist groups across the United States. Cointelpro targets anyone deemed a threat to American security, including the Black Panther Party, the American Indian movement, and even anti-war activists. Nothing is off limits as the FBI uses any means necessary to crush opposition. Enter the break-in. On May 9, 1971, 8 members of the Radical Left Citizens Commission to investigate the FBI break into the organization's headquarters in Medea, Pennsylvania. Their goal is to expose any evidence of FBI wrongdoing. What they find will shock the world. The Citizens Commission publishes thousands of pages of FBI documents that reveal the extent of Cointelpro and the FBI's illegal activities. The public is outraged. Many wonder how such abuses of power could have gone unnoticed for so long. The answer is simple. It's all thanks to Cointelpro. In order to suppress dissent, the FBI had been running disinformation campaigns, breaking up activist groups and discrediting leaders across the country. They used tactics like blackmail, infiltration, and even assassination to maintain control. For example, in the early 1960s, the FBI began targeting Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His phone calls were tapped. His associates were blackmailed and his reputation was smeared through the use of forged letters and false reports. The FBI even attempted to link King to the Communist Party in an effort to discredit him. Despite all of this, King continued to fight for civil rights until his assassination in 1968. Other activists weren't so lucky. Fred Hampton, chairman of the Black Panther Party in Illinois, was shot and killed by police during a raid in 1969. The FBI had been monitoring Hampton closely and had even placed an informant in his apartment. When police entered the apartment, the informant claimed to see a weapon, leading to a shootout that resulted in Hampton's death. Activists were horrified. How could the government target its own citizens without fear of reprisal? Well, it turns out they could. It would be until 1971 when the FBI's illegal activities were finally exposed that the American people realized the true cost of Cointelpro. Thanks to the work of the Citizens Commission, the FBI was forced to acknowledge its misconduct and Congress launched an investigation into the agency's activities. As a result, Cointelpro was officially ended in 1973, but the damage had already been done. Dozens of activists had been killed, injured, or imprisoned, and entire organizations had been dismantled. The FBI had become the very thing it was created to fight, a domestic threat to the security of the United States. Our final story, the USS Liberty. The year is 1967. The location, the Eastern Mediterranean. An Israeli Air Force jet flies low over the USS Liberty, an American intelligence ship sailing in international waters. Without warning, the plane drops to bombs, narrowly missing the ship. Moments later, more planes arrive and the attack begins. Within minutes, the Liberty ablaze with bombs and rockets tearing through the ship. By the time the attack ends, 34 sailors are dead and 170 wounded. Though Israel apologizes for the attack, claiming it was a mistake, declassified documents suggest a chilling possibility. Was it an accident or was it a deliberate act of aggression? When the attack began, the crew of the Liberty sounded the alarm, calling out "Man overboard! Man overboard!" This was a prearranged signal indicating a surprise attack and ordering crew members to jump into the water to avoid detection. But before they could get into the water, Israeli torpedo boats arrived, adding to the chaos. As survivor Alan Manor recalled, "We saw these torpedoes coming toward us. We started dropping life buoys into the water, but the torpedoes destroyed them. People were floating around in the water and they were blowing them up. Some guys grabbed onto the ropes of the life rafts and the torpedoes blew them off. The ones who didn't jump in the water were killed on the ship." But even as the Liberty was under attack, the U.S. government took steps to suppress the story. In the hours after the attack, President Lyndon B. Johnson ordered the Navy to report the incident as an accident. Survivors were warned not to discuss the attack with anyone outside the Navy, and journalists were given misleading information about the cause of the blaze. As a result, questions remained unanswered for decades. Why did Israel attack a U.S. ship? And why did the Johnson administration try to cover it up? The truth is that the Liberty was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Israel was in the midst of a war with Arab nations, and the Liberty's presence in the area threatened Israeli operations. To make matters worse, the ship was carrying top-secret equipment that could compromise Israeli defenses. Faced with the possibility of exposure, Israel chose to attack. But why did the U.S. government cover it up? The answer is simple. At the time, the U.S. was heavily invested in the outcome of the war. Johnson feared that a public outcry over the incident could damage relations with Israel and jeopardize the USS position in the region. So he chose to bury the truth. In the end, the Liberty incident serves as a reminder that even allies can turn on each other, and that in the pursuit of power, the truth is often the first casualty. And that's all for today. But if you want to learn more about these forgotten cover-ups, click the links in the description below. Thank you for watching.